snake. Careful, man, careful.
分かってねえよ。どいつもこいつも。分かってねえんだよ。大体分かってねえことも分かってねえ。分かってねえことが分かってなけりゃ、俺のことなんか分かんねえだろ。次。
ああ、はいはい。はいはいはい。よっとっと。
はした金で親父に買われやがって。
Hold on,
戦
hold
士
on,
のプライ
careful.
ドはねえのか。
客人って呼んでくださいよ。俺ら風情でも荒ごとには重宝しますよ。
お前らでも働く時があんのか見たことねえぞ、キツネ。
いや、ほんと。この村は平和すぎて退屈ですわ。
抜けよ。
No.
腕がなまってねえか試してやる。
Hold on now.
私らこれで旦那に食わせてもらってる客人ですから。どうするキツネ。
どうせ俺なんて。
片木衆が若のことを半人前扱いするのが許せ
At
ない
least he gets
と
that
言い
part.
たいわけだ。
お前らもだろ。
まあそりゃしょうがねえわな。実際若は半人前なんだし。
Damn.
ただまあ一人前。おい、慰めろって。うっせえな。話の段取りがあるんだよ。
Yeah, he kind of got cut off there.
一人前になるのなんてそんなに難しかないんですよ。通過儀礼っていうの？それだけでね。
Oh, man.
殺しの経験ですよ。人を殺すっていうのはね、すごく自信がつくんですよ。やっといた方がいい。男はみんな
Look at them.
そうやって大人になるんです
Look at
よ。
all of them. They know.
でも誰を。
そんなもん
Yeah, it
決まっ
is,
て
isn't
んじゃないですか。初心者には初心者用の獲物ってのがありますよ。ちゃんと。
Someone who's not gonna strike back.
この農場にもいるじゃないですか。
Come on, man.
殺してもいい人間っていうのがさ。
Okay, it's about to escalate. Ooh, let's go. Oh yeah? That's good. That's good.
治療好きは貸してもらえんのかな。
Oh, whoa. Yeah.
トルフィン、どうしたおい。寝ぼけてんのかおい。トルフィン。
Jesus. That's the most
大
emotion
丈夫かお前。
I've seen out of Thorfinn so far, and it
むちゃくちゃうなされてるぞ。
sounded like a nightmare.
どんな夢見りゃそんなにうなされんだよ。
There are some skeletons in that closet, my friend.
なんだろう、思い出せない。
忘れる夢ってのは忘れた方が。
Hey. Okay. Of course, that morning light highlighting her. Beautiful.
おはようございます。いい朝ですね。
はい、おはようございます。
Don't think it's going to
お顔洗いますか？
stay a nice morning for
私
long,
はもう
right?
済みましたから。
あ、いや、はい、すいません。
The man is.
いや、もう小高を洗ったとこでどうにも寝りゃしませんので。
まあそんなこと。
Hey.
素敵なお顔だと思いますよ。どこかお加減が。
Yeah, yeah. Oh, yeah.
いや、大丈夫です。全然病気とかじゃないんで。いや、
お怪我でも？
いや。
なん
Those
だ、
hands.
胸が騒ぐ。
Wow. That's a
何
great
か
shot.
忘れてはいけない。そんな夢だったような気がする。
Oh, oh.
え、 旦那様のご息女様では。
いいえ、違うんですよ。私はあなたと同じ奴隷です。旦那様のおそば使いをしています。
Here comes trouble. Thorfinn
おは
can
よう
tell
諸君。
these guys are
なん
trouble.
だ朝から奴隷が集まって逃亡の相談か。
おはようございます。
Look at that, the tone
お前名前は。
completely changed
ドルフィンで
in
す。
her greeting.
何者だあいつら。
Trouble.
剣なんかぶら下げて。俺たちに会うってろくなことじゃねえだろう
Perceptive.
な。
Perceptive.
やっぱ
You just don't know the level of it just yet, man.
素敵なお顔だと思いますよ。
Yeah, it's really nice, of course,
なんだ
but
ご機嫌だなエイナル。
いやすいません。
さあ若様、ズバーッと言ってみ
he's
よう。
sobered up now,
ズ
right?
バーッと。
ズバーってまさか。
はい、そっちの大きい方ご名察。
Big man.
死んでくれ。罪なんかねえよ。ただ単にお前の命がお前のものじゃないっていうそれだけのことさ。正当な持ち主が自分のものをどうしようと勝手だろ。
こいつらは親父の持ち物だ。俺のじゃない。切ったら弁償しなきゃいけね
ああ情けない
Oh,
若
no.
様。
God damn it.
この後に及んでまだそんな殺しが怖いんですか。っていうか両方。
え。うるせえ。別に何も怖
They
く
know
ねえ。
exactly how to push
じ
it.
ゃあやりましょうよ。ズババーっと。
めんどくせえ。
Wow.
俺が切られますよ。御用は一人いれば足りるでしょう。
Oh,
そ
man.
いつは仕事に戻してください。私が切られます。
His eyes are open now.
なんだって。
Oh, he's latched on. He's latched on.
ほっとくと俺たちの扱ってる商品の価値が落ちちゃうからね。なあトルフィン君。
Our product.
俺たち戦士の扱う商品って何だと思う。
さあ、
Killing.
死だ。
Death.
どんなやつでも死ぬのは怖い。断言しよう。どんなやつでもだ。それでいいんだ。怖いからこそ価値がある。そうでなきゃ剣で飯なんか食えなく
Yeah,
なっ
but
ち
the
まう
man
ぜ。
standing in front of you.
お前も怖いはずだ。
He's not.
怖がれ。
Oh, God. He's gonna get frustrated now, isn't he?
ああ、もう腹減った。おい、チンピラだ
Ah, okay. Maybe this guy's gonna step in.
おれ、命乞いしてみろ。
You're not gonna
素
get
直
that.
になれ。トルフィン。ほう、まばたきもしねえか。大したもんだ。あれは確か旦那んとこの奴隷だろうな。
Okay, so
なんで死ぬのを怖がらなくちゃいけないんですか。死にたくないから生きてるんですか。生きてると何かいいことはありますか。
yeah, he's in that state of mind these days. Quite the pessimist.
俺はなかったよ。
Oh.
今まで生きてきていいこと
That's not true, man.
一つもなかっ
That's
た
not
よ。
true. Wow. He's forgotten so much. There it is. Oh!
次は目だ。怖がれ。やめろ、キツネ。
Oh! Oh, look at them. They're scared shitless. Okay, someone who has authority over these men, from the looks of it. From the sounds of it. No. Okay, is this like the leader of the band?
ああ、ひでえなこりゃ。兄貴。
Boss.
おかえりなさい。いいつから。きつね。
He's about to get an elbow to the face.
近寄れ。
Ah! Yeah. Oh, okay, a punch to the face. Oh, that's a broken nose, a few teeth knocked out. Handsome lad.
説明。
Okay, so, you know, at this point, the direction of this anime, this story, is really quite clear, right? It's been established, the tone of it, the deliberate pacing of it, and the subject matter at hand, it's been established. So I feel like at this point, you might be starting to get a few dropouts, right? You know, for me, this is just really quite captivating and gripping. It is. And I was hoping for this, you know. I remember I was kind of giving my discussion for episode 24, season 1, and I was hoping for something like this, and I'm getting it, right? And so I'm all for it, and I'm sure there's many of you, and you know, it's lovely to see you in the comments. But you know, I think it's a bit of a double-edged sword as well, and I must admit I have a bit of concern, in the sense that, you know, these potential dropouts, or, you know, people deciding that, you know, it's not for them anymore. Or, you know, maybe initially they kind of came onto the anime for a different reason, right? Maybe they're not getting that anymore. So, you know, the concern aspect of it is that, you know, hopefully, you know, this dropout or any potential drop off isn't to an extent that could affect the future of the anime. You know what I mean? That's the only thing that kind of concerns me, because I can just tell, you know, that this is not for everyone. It's not. It's just not. And I think the type of audience member that is kind of expecting something a bit more hype or a bit more of fighting that, you know, that was present, you know, in chunks throughout the first season. Yeah, it doesn't look like they're going to be getting much of that. So I don't know, man. Hopefully it doesn't really play much of a part in terms of how they look at it, how they look at the numbers, in terms of, you know, future seasons for this anime. But I think this episode specifically is going to be a turning point for a lot of people in terms of their expectations, right? Because I can see that a lot of people might have thought that, okay, this might be the moment. Maybe he'll get triggered. Maybe he'll kind of, you know, come out of this shell all of a sudden and he'll start just going at them. He'll start taking them out one by one, you know, let that rage out. I could totally see people expecting something like that as well. But they, you know, nothing like that happens, right? Because there's no setup for that. That was never going to happen. Of course not. But, you know, I'm sure there's people that might have expected it nonetheless. But instead, it really reiterates Thorfinn's current state, right? As they've kind of already established in episodes 1 and 2, right? It's kind of hard to miss his new, you know, state of mind, his new outlook, his new, you know, pessimist philosophy. You know, in that sense, you know, his new stance on life. I mean, yes, of course, it's quite a pessimistic one. To me, it really feels like it's taking from Schopenhauer, right? His philosophy of pessimism. I think it's really quite clear cut. And I'll get into that in a bit. But yeah, you know, I think that by episode 3, at this point, I think everyone should have an idea, right? If this is for them or if this is not for them anymore. But I feel that anyone who is expecting to see or hoping to see that old Thorfinn again, yeah, you're going to be disappointed, right? It's kind of moved on from that phase. Right? It would be so counterproductive to kind of give us that Thorfinn again. It's just not happening. There's no reason for that to happen. There's no setup for that. I'm just kind of trying to look at it from that perspective, you know, people who might kind of be hoping to get that Thorfinn back. But yeah, the boss shows up at the end. And I guess I can assume that is perhaps Snake, because, you know, the others have the names of animals as well, Badger and Fox. Boss, Snake, makes sense, right? I think it's an interesting introduction You can actually infer quite a bit. You see that he's certainly a man of principle, right? He sees that it's one of the master's slaves that's being cut up and damaged. And, at the end of the day, even if it is quite harsh and quite sad, it is a commodity, isn't it? The slaves themselves. So, he immediately disciplines his men, right? Fox gets his nose caved in. His mouth is kind of rearranged forever. So you see that he's a no-nonsense type leader. And his initial introduction is really quite interesting as well, isn't it? They show us him inside of that cabin. He's asleep, but you see he falls asleep reading a book. Now, the book itself, I'm not sure if there is any significance to the book, because you can't really make out anything about the title of the book. It's just like a nice design. But that in itself tells you quite a bit about the character, doesn't it? And of course, since these are his men kind of acting out of line, it's his responsibility, right? His men and their actions are his responsibility. So he steps in, all right, and makes an example. And of course, he's asking Badger and the rest to explain the situation. And also, his first take on Thorfinn is really quite interesting, because I feel that this individual, boss or snake, perhaps, I think he's probably seen this type of disposition before, right? That hollow, empty shell of a person, that hollow look in the eyes. I think he might have come across that before. So maybe he can kind of infer or gather that, okay, this person, this Thorfinn, has an interesting past, perhaps, given his reactions to these strikes, not flinching even a bit, right? Because it just doesn't even register for him anymore, right? The element of pain. I mean, he's certainly feeling the pain, but it's not something he cares about, right? It's fine. To him, it's okay. This is just such a hassle, all of this, right? That's the reason I kind of brought up Schopenhauer. But yeah, I think it's really quite the exciting cliffhanger, because it feels like there is going to be a bit of an exciting or interesting conversation that might play out. Boss or Snake is going to ask Thorfinn about himself, right? Maybe ask him about his past and how he came here in the first place. And that being his punishment, essentially, for lunging at Canute, who was kind of referred to as Prince Canute by Olmar, right? And there's King Harald. So that's interesting, isn't it? I think this happened in episode 2. Yeah. So he's not King Canute, not just yet, right? Or something's happened in that time skip. Yeah, I'm pretty sure he called him Prince Canute in the last episode, didn't he? Olmar. He name dropped both of them. He said Prince Canute, and then he said King Harald, his brother, of course. So yeah, let's kind of come back to that once it comes back to that. It'll be interesting to see how long this arc kind of plays out before the introduction of that side of things, Prince Canute. And that whole story arc. But if it wasn't clear before, they've certainly made it really clear by episode 3, by the end of it, that Thorfinn has no purpose anymore. He just doesn't, right? In fact, he welcomes any type of release from this constant misery, right? Take me, he can have me. Let Einar go. And Einar is, the thing I kind of fear for his character arc is that this resilience, day by day, he might also kind of get pushed down and down over and over until he's kind of also left as this hollow husk. And I feel like Thorfinn potentially seeing that happen, that could be a potential change within as well, right? Maybe he doesn't want to see someone else go through the same things he's going through, right? Step by step, episode by episode, he is seeing that this Einar, God damn it. Like I mentioned during the episode, Einar is the one that the characters are seeing as well. But then, of course, I know in the comments, a lot of people specify that it's Einar. But you see that he's still quite determined. He still stands up for the things he believes in. Yes, he might be a little bit naive. And he's still not really completely grasping his new existence, right, as a slave. And, the things that he is allowed and the things that he's not allowed. And that includes his own life, agency, right? As Fox told him, you didn't do anything wrong, my dude. I mean, he didn't say that, but you get my point. Um, it's as simple as someone else owning your life now. That's not in your own hands anymore. Um, it's harsh. It's really completely harsh. And imagine, I mean, it's you cannot even comprehend those times and things those people had to go through. Slavery. Imagine living like that. And I think it's also interesting that this arc seems to be based around that concept as well, right? Because again, that's another thing Schopenhauer really kind of goes into in some of his writings as well. That humans themselves are the worst source of suffering, be it onto themselves and onto others. And this constant cycle of misery and suffering and pain that Thorfinn seems to be going through, a lot of it is of his own making. And that's exactly the thing Askeladd was trying to tell him on his deathbed. And how crazy is that? In his final moments, before dying, this is the thing he felt that he had to share. This is the thing he felt that he had to somehow get through to Thorfinn, right? I think that in itself is so incredible, isn't it? That's how he chooses his final moments of life to, implore this young man that he sees so much potential in, this young man who is the son of the great Thors. That's how he spent his final moments, right? But this is exactly how it's playing out, right? The moment Askeladd dies, he's got no purpose left. He has nothing, right? He believes he's never had anything good happen to him ever in his life. Of course, us, the audience, knows that's not true. He's had this loving life, a loving family, and this beautiful life before any of that goes down, before the death of his father. But again, I guess you have to kind of look at it from a different perspective as well, because he was quite young. Perhaps he just doesn't recall any of that. Or maybe he feels that he doesn't deserve to recall any of that. Because I said it's not true. He does have a family out there. He has people that care for him out there. Those things are good things that have happened to him, that are a part of his life. Also people like Leif Erikson. But I feel that he might also think that he doesn't deserve to think about them, that he doesn't deserve to have them be a part of his life now, right? Based on the direction he ended up taking, based on him abandoning them for this really selfish path he was on up until this point. So yeah, man, it's tough. It's really quite tough to see Thorfinn like this, isn't it? But this is the thing that's needed, right? This is the thing that is needed, because if you go back to season 1, a lot of that, at one point it became the Askeladd and Prince Canute show, didn't it? Right? The focus or the most intriguing aspect of it was those two, and Askeladd specifically as well. But this is now how I was hoping it plays out. The focus is back on Thorfinn and his new state of mind, and how he kind of has this really pessimistic outlook. Life is horrible, life is pain, life is suffering, this, constant condition of distress, that nothing has any meaning at all, or nothing of this means anything. And that, the world itself is this huge source of that constant suffering and pain as well. And that no matter how painful things are now, they could always get worse, right? Is all of that, that really, really describes Thorfinn's current outlook and his current state of mind. But that being said, there's good signs here that he is beginning to recognize his internal struggle, right? You see that he's having these moments of unease, this feeling of unease that he's not able to kind of understand about himself. You see that he's having this nightmare, perhaps a reoccurring nightmare, right? And that is some nightmare, folks, because you see Einar, who himself has just suffered so much recently. Even he is saying or asking the question, the hell kind of dream can make a man scream like that, right? Especially a man that he knows to be quite stoic, quite checked out, and quite indifferent to anything. To see that type of reaction and emotion out of him, it's kind of the same, isn't it, for Einar and for us, the audience, at the same time. Both of us are like, whoa, holy. But that nightmare, and he believes, it's probably a nightmare, or it's about something he must not forget ever. If I was to kind of take an educated guess at it, I think it's possibly him seeing his loved ones, be it, his sister and mother, kind of being butchered in the same manner that he might have butchered, or it could be the lives he took himself, right? A combination of those types of things. It's going to haunt him. It's going to haunt him for a long time, the path he was on and the things he turned a blind eye to, right? But this internal struggle is so important, isn't it? Because it is going to constitute the emotional core of this impending journey that he hopefully goes on, right? Step by step, it's a progress, right? It might be a long progress, but I hope to see him get there, right? And there's good signs he'll get there, right? There's some great foreshadowing in the opening of the anime as well, and the part Einar is going to end up playing as well, and the part he's going to play in Einar's life as well from that point on. If you go back to the first episode and that narration, it's clear that Einar is also speaking to someone else as well, right? So that was a point I was trying to make in episode 1's discussion, that it's not just Einar. It's going to bring in a lot of people down the line, right? So yeah, it's just also exciting to think about the potential future of this story, of the character arcs and the progressions of it all, and the relationships and the bonds that might be on the horizon still. And you see one of them is right here, isn't it? It's Einar. He's like a brother already, right? He treats Thorfinn with such respect. I mean, not respect. I mean, sure, there might be respect, but he treats his life with such value, doesn't he? And I love that. And also, I've got to say, I'm really enjoying the new voice acting additions. These conversations that are happening, they feel so authentic. The banter that's kind of happening and the reactions to certain things. And, a standout scene to me actually was Olmar, as he is drunk at night, and, Fox and Badger kind of, again, it's banter. They're kind of picking on him. They know how to, kind of push his buttons. And also, it is a bit of a look at how men used to be in those times, right? And, the fact that these are, bodyguards, and that they are hired for that purpose. But then given the nature of this farm, the peaceful nature of the farm, they don't really get to do the thing that they excel at, that they're really good at, right? Death, killing, that's their product. So that's dangerous, because then, they're bored, and then, they start thinking about entertainment, right? Be it through Olmar getting him drunk and kind of, banter and all that. And then, that kind of sometimes transitions into this. Oh, let's make them kill, right? Let's make them essentially force him, because of course Olmar is not that person, and I love Olmar. I do. I'm really hoping for a fantastic character arc here. Okay, so I think that should do it for this one, folks. I've got to say, I'm really enjoying it. I really am, and as expected, essentially. But yeah, it's giving me the chance for a lot of interesting discussion, and giving us a chance for a lot of interesting analysis, right? A lot of interesting dialogue can come out of this subject matter for sure, and the themes that are being covered here. And I hope you guys are enjoying these as well. And if you are enjoying them, consider dropping a like, consider dropping some comments, give me your thoughts. And that really does help the channel get noticed a bit more. Listen, this anime is not going to be one of the big, like if you compare it to something like Chainsaw Man, it's not going to be getting that type of attention. But if you appreciate my content and my take on this anime, this beautiful anime, and the story that it's giving us, consider dropping into the comments and dropping a like, because then others can kind of come across this type of approach, right? If you're interested in full length, timer-based full length, just to specify, and also full opacity, no opacity mask, nice and crisp, 4K. If you are interested, check out the links in the description and the pinned comment. Also links to social media, if that's your thing, mainly Twitter and Instagram as well, though I only really use the stories on Instagram. But yeah, check it all out. Right then, thank you so much for joining me, and thank you for your time, because time is precious. It really is. And I do hope to see you again soon for episode 4. Until then, take it easy.